You're listening to the Really Very Crunchy podcast with your hosts, Emily
and Jason. Today, well, actually, yesterday, your children's book came out.
It launched.
I
love how you're like, today. Wait, I don't know, because it's actually not the day that we're recording it.
This is recorded ahead of time, but by the time it comes out.
Could have been a massive fail, fizzle.
Doubt it.
Nothing happened, or tons of people could be buying it.
Here we are.
We'll see. If you haven't bought it, but you want to, help it be a success.
Big helper, little imagination.
Little helper, big imagination.
The other way around would have been a very depressing book.
Yeah, a little bit.
Big helper, your imagination not
Cinderella. So great. I guess Cinderella had a good imagination because surely her fairy godmother did not come. That's imagined. Oh. She was like tripping on something.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, do you need an imagination if you have a fairy godmother and talking mice running around you? That's like, who needs an imagination?
Now I'm like viewing it through the lens of Cinderella taking something, and it all makes so much more sense.
You could apply that to several Disney movies, I'm pretty sure. Have you seen Dumbo? Yeah. The animators of that movie, let's just say they're having a better time than the rest of us.
I suppose so. So something interesting happened to us last week. Well, yeah. Was it last week when we were recording this? I don't know when it was. It doesn't matter for the listener.
We don't even know when we record these things.
Something interesting happened. We let a random stranger stay in our home overnight. And here's how it happened. And this is what has influenced and inspired this conversation.
Which is?
Hospitality.
Oh.
We're talking about hospitality.
I said, like I didn't know. Sorry.
So this girl messaged me on Instagram, and she said that she was visiting the U.S. from Germany, and that in exchange for letting her stay at our house, because we're in between two places she was going, she would give me a lesson in flower arranging, because she's a florist in
For
Germany.
your own funeral.
So when it happened, I was very excited. I love meeting people from other countries. I was like, yes, this would be great. Jason, what do you think? Can we do it? And you're like, yeah, sure, whatever. I don't think you thought I was actually going to go for it. Because then I told her yes. And then, like, as it got closer, you're like, I can't believe you did this.
I can't believe you're actually doing this. You're
actually letting this random chick that we don't know anything about. I wasn't following her. She said she was following me. I started following her. Her Instagram
She knew
beautiful.
Your address. She knew your kids' names and ages and
so
your dress size.
Now that I'm retroactively thinking about it, I'm thinking, wow,
now that you survived it.
Yeah. I'm thinking, I'm sort of like a little kid outside an unmarked van, and the stranger's offering him candy. I'll teach you to arrange flowers. Like I've shared in my stories before that I really want to learn that.
Uh-huh.
So.
Yeah, well, that unmarked van is sitting in your driveway, sleeping in your bed.
Well, it went really great. She's a really lovely person. We had a wonderful time. She's crunchy. I mean, I feel like if you're from Germany, you're just automatically a little bit crunchier than everybody in the U.S.
She only installed a few cameras that we found. I'm kidding. She's a wonderful human being.
Super sweet. We had a really good time. Will I do it again? Probably not.
With her, for sure. She's a friend now. Lifelong friend.
Anytime. Yes.
Yes.
Any other stranger, the more people I told about it, as it was approaching, the more people were like, you're insane. This is a terrible idea. What are you doing? I would never do that. I asked Ginny Urich of 1,000 Hours Outside. Hopefully she doesn't care that I'm telling you this. But I said, would you let a random follower stay at your home if they messaged you?
I think the answer is pretty clear.
No. And I was like, even if... Even if they were going to show you how to arrange flowers?
Yeah.
No.
I would not. This is how you sever the head of the flower. I'm very good at pruning.
Yeah. So actually, when she showed up, I thought it was so charming. She got out of her vehicle, and like one of the first things she said to me, she pulled out this old antique chair and she said, "I saw this in the trash and I thought of you."
The biggest compliment you could ever
I know. It was
receive.
Quoting a video of ours, though.
Yeah.
And it was really cute. And it was like, okay, you're normal.
Yeah.
You pull things out of the trash too and bring them to people you've never met.
We literally dodged a bullet.
So anyway, that's what inspired this conversation about hospitality. Personally, I think hospitality needs to happen more. People have lost the art of hospitality, and I even feel like I'm pretty rusty on it because I knew she was coming for several weeks, and I was just like sort of panicking, like, what am I going to serve for breakfast? What?
Yeah.
I was super concerned that she would not like my bathroom vanity because it's so old and crusty and from 1981 vinyl.
Yeah.
It's like the fake wood vinyl that's glued to the plywood peeling off.
Yeah.
So I made a little curtain to cover it. It's really cute. I made new curtains for the room.
I was more worried about the murder.
Yeah, I was more worried about what she thought about my floral fabrics that I chose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Priorities.
I will say, and this is not an ad, when she walked out the next morning, she was like, wow, that bed is really comfortable.
Thank you, Naturepedic.
Yeah.
You guys are wonderful.
Yeah, I know. It's an amazing bed.
It's an amazing bed.
So if you're looking to have overnight guests, consider getting a Naturepedic. Can't go wrong there.
Okay, so here's the question I have. How much should people be willing to sacrifice in order to be hospitable to guests, whether it's, a dinner party or because I want to feel bad because I think she listens to this, but I do want to say you kind of led her to believe that you gave her a guest bedroom.
She thought that.
You gave her our master.
The way that she phrased it.
Which I was cool with. Yeah.
She was saying, that's a perfect guest room. And I was like, yeah, I know.
It would be if we had more rooms.
And she said that it has a bathroom on it and everything. It's perfect for a guest room.
It is.
You're so lucky to have that as a guest room. And so then I was like, yeah, I know. It's great. And she's like, so you just have a different room upstairs?
We certainly do.
Well, so I didn't want to make her feel guilty for me giving up our room. So, because we have weird sleeping arrangements anyway.
So
it's
weird.
Like, who knows where
we don't know where we're sleeping on any given night, so we're fine, yeah.
So, anyway, we were all sleeping in the boys' room because I'm of the mind that you give the guests the very best.
Oh, yeah.
So...
Well, that's the original question, yes. So,
to me,
right.
If you're having guests and you don't have an appropriate sleeping situation for them, you give them your sleeping situation. Even though it's not really our sleeping situation because I'm usually upstairs anyway.
Yeah.
But one of us would probably be sleeping down there. But no, so I feel like I sort of lied to her because...
a lie of omission.
I didn't want to make her feel uncomfortable. Yeah, that I gave up our master. And
even though we're airing it out for thousands to hear now.
I know. And she does listen to this. I'm sorry, Lydia. I didn't mean to lead you astray. It's the way that she asked the question. And I was like, yeah, I know. It is the perfect guest room.
And I do want to make it perfectly clear. Both of us were happy to do it.
Yes. Very comfortable.
There's plenty of comfortable sleeping arrangements upstairs.
We do have extra beds upstairs.
How many years have we slept with an ultra mega family bed anyway?
For real.
It doesn't matter.
I know.
I could literally sleep anywhere.
So when we first moved into this house, the carpet upstairs was so old and jank and nasty, but we couldn't get it upgraded yet that we didn't even come upstairs for a couple months.
It was
and
wild.
Then finally we had new carpet installed and I was so worried about it off-gassing.
Even though it was the non-toxic kind.
Yeah, whatever. I was just worried about it. So then we didn't come upstairs for another few months.
It was several months.
So many months I was like, nobody goes upstairs.
The windows were
just opening the windows.
Months. Yeah.
It was fine. Yeah. So then we all moved up here. And we have changed our rooms around a million times because now the podcast room is the room that you had been sleeping with Alder in, and we're weird. So, anyway.
We could do a whole episode on sleeping.
Yeah.
My goodness.
But I will say,
we need to do that one.
Our children sleep through the night. So.
Now?
Yeah.
6 and 4, they've been sleeping through the night for like.
That is not true.
A month.
That is not
Feels
true.
like it.
Because we tried to go downstairs and sleep in our own room, and that was
Shocker.
Not happening. I told you from the beginning. I was like, that is way too far away.
Let's save that for the sleeping episode. I think that's great.
Anyway, I think if you don't have a place for your guests, you give them your space. That's what I was always taught. I think that's what my parents did anytime we had anybody over. Yeah. They would sleep on an air mattress in the kids' room, or make the kids sleep on the couch, and then they would sleep in the kids' bed. Or I think you just give the guest
from the top down. You essentially put the guest in the top position in the house, and everybody else down the line gets downgraded.
Yes,
and so the youngest. That would be me in this.
You're outside in the doghouse.
Yeah.
No.
Which, again, at this point, I could sleep anywhere, so it would not surprise me one day if you're like, hey, honey, you need to go sleep in the yard. Okay. Gotcha.
I would never. We have plenty of space.
Yeah, I know.
That was your question about that?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of people are not willing to do that. I think a lot of people, so you're either in the position of you have plenty of space to put guests, which is ideal. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't. A lot of people have these extra rooms that are filled with junk or whatever, or they don't have enough rooms or whatever. So anyone who doesn't have enough rooms
I'm sleeping in a tent, or I'm doing something.
I would say most people aren't downgrading themselves.
Really?
I would say most people probably aren't. I
should know that. I've been to people's houses where I clearly was not put in the top position.
You're not the top dog in this house.
Nope.
No.
So yeah, the most awkward thing is when you go stay at someone's house and they put you in like a communal space, and then they don't change their habits. So they're just like walking in, sitting down.
I watched the news at 5 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. I hate, I feel like sometimes our podcast turns into there was this one time. Is that what you're supposed to do in a podcast?
It's called relating. I think you have specific examples. It's an illustration of what you're talking about. So
there was this one time we went and stayed with someone, and their kid came into our designated space early in the morning.
Uh-huh.
And he was like getting in our stuff, and I'm like, kid, leave. And he wouldn't leave. And I'm like, listen, I know your mom raised you right. And you better listen to me. I'm a grown up.
I'm a grown up now. Listen to me.
Yeah.
I think that's just part of hospitality. Not that I'm an expert by any means. We can dig into
Have you ever done anything hospitable in your entire life, Jason?
Your question is pointed. Okay.
I'm just asking. I'm just curious. What is your level of expertise on the subject?
I mean, I let a kid borrow a pencil in class once.
Is that...
As long as he didn't use the eraser.
Is that hospitality in your mind? Is that? Wait, is that what came to your mind? Seriously?
It was the first thing that came. No, I understand. I've
been hospitable
since I've been married. And then other than that, I didn't own a home. So what was my option to be hospitable?
Friends over, did you ever have someone stay the night at your house?
Yeah. Well, the family environment, the personalities within my family didn't necessarily cater to being having friends over and being the most comfortable with that. That's as vague as I can keep it without
comfortable.
Me being comfortable with having my friends there. We can get into that that's another episode too. Weird upbringings, which I don't know if. Yeah. So. I don't feel like I had the most normal childhood in the world.
Or even the greatest example of hospitality.
It was a weird situation.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing serious, nothing weird as in weird,
but abuse. Or anything.
Nothing like that. It was just I was always hyper conscious of my family dynamic and how that was it was a strange family dynamic, and I didn't necessarily want to bring other people into that. So no, I don't have a bunch of examples, but I did have a couple of friends over, fine. I mean, but I would sleep in my bed and I would either have an air mattress or something for them, but that's teenagers or kids don't care. There's not, so my point is,
I would try to give my bed to my friend, or
we all know you're perfect.
Yeah,
I know.
Starting from a very young age, probably 5 or 6 years old, my favorite game to play was a nail salon. So what I would do, I didn't even care about nails. What I cared about was setting the environment. I would get a little bowl of peppermints and make sure like everything was perfect for people to feel comfortable.
Wow.
And I would like ask my mom to come up to my room to sit. I love that. I love hosting and trying to make people feel comfortable.
Just in you.
It's just like in there.
Yeah.
But I haven't done it much.
I don't think that's often a guy thing. That may be kind of a feminine quality as well. I don't want to offend anybody, but I mean, that's boys, especially boys in that era, are not necessarily taught to be that way.
But I think it also depends. I was always like, can we have someone over? Can we have someone over? Can we, and I think I see it in other kids. There's a kid in our forest group, and he's always like, can your kids come over and play? Can they come over and play? And my kids don't really do that. Ask if people can come over and play. And
or more, can we go? Probably because we're the weird family dynamic.
We're the weird family dynamic.
Oh my goodness, I brought it home with me.
I know. Oh man, I'm starting to sweat. I'm like, oh no.
Are we the weird parents? We're just now realizing it.
I also think our kids are pretty content to play at home. They've got their rhythms and they do their things, but they do love playing with other kids, but they do ask to go to other people's houses, and other kids ask if we can come to their house.
I know.
Oh, man, my world is shattering.
I know what it is.
What?
You don't like having people over here.
That's sad, but I know that is...
And it's not because you don't want to host people. It's because you're not, you don't love your environment necessarily.
Which sounds really complainy, but it was the same with our last house. Like, our last house was in a rough part of town. I can say that. I mean, the people who moved in next door were arrested for dealing meth. And then the people behind us, multiple times, like the house was evicted and it got shot up.
I actually woke up in the middle of the night to cover you and Oaks because we heard gunfire next door.
Right at our house.
Right next to us. So yes, I mean, you could say it was a rough neighborhood. I think that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really want to invite people over there. I did. I made this goal. I was going to invite one new couple over every month. It really didn't work out very well.
That had nothing to do with the house. Had nothing to do with the house or us. You know what it had to do with?
Our child.
Putting our kids down to bed, or our kid down to bed.
It took a long time, and I was the one to do it, and you're not really chatty.
So you would put the kid down for bed.
40 minutes, probably.
Over an hour most of the time.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
this is Oaks we're talking about. He takes a long time to fall asleep, even back then.
Maybe including
leaving me in the middle of the dinner party to have to chat it up with two people I don't even hardly know. If this is close friends, it's like, oh, that's great. When it's like people we don't really know, it's like, we got to keep the baby up.
What? We couldn't, though. He was rough.
Then you don't have people over.
Well, I discovered later that lunches were better. We just need to have lunch.
People work.
No, remember we started having people over for lunch on Saturday. It was like, I think we did that twice or something. And then I gave up my goal altogether because
I complained too much.
Probably. But also your environment does matter, sort of. I'm torn there. So our house was really small. There wasn't enough seating. So you would pull in a dining room chair to the living room.
The place in the rough neighborhood you're talking about? Yeah.
You would pull in a dining room chair every time because the seating was weird. And it wasn't the best, like most comfortable couch. It was thrifted. I had upholstered half of it to try and hide stains.
Yeah.
So it was probably, just not the best. And we had a small table because it was a small eat-in kitchen. But at that point, it was fine, except that one time we had a family who had like 6 kids over. Do you remember that?
I will never forget it.
That was too much in that tiny house. That was
chaotic.
Crazy. We ended up being like, let's walk to the park.
Yeah.
Who wants to go for a walk? Just losing my mind.
We have a 2-kid limit on hospitality now. You want to come over? You have 3 kids?
Do you have?
Sorry.
You're out.
You're gone. No. Maybe we can meet at a park.
But this house is so beautiful. But we have made it that way, and it's not necessarily designed for hospitality. Like, you walk right in the door, and you walk into this weird, awkward, skinny galley kitchen right in the front door.
Yeah.
It's so weird. So then you have to, like, kind of direct people back and around to go to the living room, which is really nice and spacious. But we always had our dining room table in the long eat-in kitchen, and it was too big for the space, and anyway, we have several friends or acquaintances who have nicer homes than we do. It's weird when someone's house is a little better than yours. Like, can we just come over to your house?
That's true.
I really want to hang out with you guys, but can we just go to your house? Your house is better.
It's true.
Mine might be cozier. And
we've learned that cozy is code for, this is a small space. Your house, I love it. It's so cozy. It's so cozy. Oh, that's what I love having a cozy house. Thanks for my cozy home. I love that it's cozy. That's what I was going for when I bought it. I really want a cozy place. Thank you. Why don't you just say, it's too small for my taste?
The ceilings are too low.
We're used to our mansion, and yours is tiny. Your house could fit inside of ours. It's cozy. It's like our kid's bedroom. Okay.
We got invited to a Super Bowl party for church, and this guy's house is a mansion, like so huge. He has a basketball court in his basement. He has like a pool with a waterfall.
Yeah.
You can't then be like, hey, do you guys want to come over for dinner?
And I think a lot of people absolutely would disagree with you with that. I think that's a difference in personality too.
Probably. I'm just like,
because this is who I am. This is who we are. This is what we have. You want to come over and hang out with us? And I think people on the other side of that, the one with the basketball court in his basement and the waterfall, are more than happy to go over to your not as grand place. Now, it gets a little different when you're trying to host a dinner party with like 20 people, and then they're like, why are we here?
Yeah. There's no room.
There's about 10 other families we could go to. Why are we at this one?
Except, no, I have a friend. Her name is Mandy. I don't know if Mandy listens to this or not, but Mandy is so good. Her house is very normal. She has tall ceilings, though, so that adds space. Like, that gives an illusion of more space. But she has sort of a narrow kitchen, and she hosts all the time. And she's just like open in her house. She doesn't even care. She said she used to, but then she met someone who was really good at hosting, just being like, yeah, do it. I'm just going to have a bunch of people over.
That is the key that I'm talking about.
I know. You just have to do it.
You just have to
stop worrying,
to not care.
Get over it. And like, this is what it is. Come on in. If you don't want to be here, fine, go. You know?
Just don't look up at my textured ceilings.
Well, they're kind of almost hitting you in the head because they're so low.
We do have 7-foot ceilings upstairs. But.
No. So, I mean, we do. But yeah. I'm saying, like, no, I'm not worried about my textured ceilings. I'm just saying she is so good about just asking people to come over. Was it her husband's uncle or something, caught a bunch of fish and gave it to him frozen. And she's like, we're having a fish fry. And she started inviting like everybody she knew. And finally her husband was like, we're not going to have enough fish, Mandy, if you don't stop inviting people.
Yeah.
Because she just she's so good at it, and everybody seems comfortable, and she just walks around. Can I get you more to drink? And do you need anything? And she's just grabbing babies to hold them, and I
wish I was that way.
Yeah,
and I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not. But I don't know why. I like people. I like being around people. But hospitality isn't necessarily in my blood, and it's probably a lack of practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you just have to go for it.
I mean, part of it, we've moved a lot. So what are we going to do? We had somebody over to our RV once. That was awkward.
I mean, he was the park ranger of the park we were staying in. He knew where we lived.
I know, but I think your environment does matter, though. Except we could have been open to like hosting people outside of our RV. My favorite host that I've ever been to, she owns a house in Wisconsin. She actually has an Airbnb. Going to her house, it's like she is a host, like a hospitality wizard. She is always so bright and cheerful and happy to see you. And even if her house is a little messy or cluttered, her kitchen used to be super outdated and like piles of papers here and there. Didn't matter. Like, it was the most comfortable place ever. She was so good. She went to bed later than everyone, and somehow she was up earlier than everyone, ready to make breakfast.
Elise is able to sleep like 2 hours a night and be perfectly fine. So
she's just magical. I love going there, and it just like reminds me that it doesn't have to be perfect. Her house was never perfect. Now it is. She got her kitchen renovated, and it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But she like would pull all her furniture into the side room because that's where their wood stove was. It was cozy and wonderful.
This is cozy.
It was.
I love how cozy it is.
It was, and it was so nice. So maybe I need to just take a page out of Elisa's book.
I love your living room. It's so cozy. Ugh. Leave me alone. Don't ever come to my house and tell me how cozy it is again.
But it is cozy.
Well, I can say that and you can say that, but if you're a guest, don't come in and say that.
Okay.
Do you think hospitality is dead or dying?
Yes.
And do you think there's a possible resurgence of hospitality?
Both. So obviously the pandemic played into people not having people over to their home as much because
except for the COVID parties.
Except for that.
Those people were really great at hospitality. They were sharing everything.
So I think that definitely impacted hospitality. But I also think social media, you just don't feel the need to connect on an intimate level with people because you're seeing what they're doing all the time. And so I think it's really tempting to just sit there and scroll on your phone or watch TV, zone out, whatever you like to do.
Can I give sort of props to our friends that we have here in Paducah? I don't know if it's like this everywhere else. It seems to be, at least within our age group in our 30s, people are getting a lot better at going to things and doing things and not just immediately whipping out their phone. Now, of course, it comes out from like, hey, I want to show you something. This is funny or whatever.
Or I want to take a picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like, I can't tell you how many dinner parties, get-togethers, whatever we've been to, and almost no phones come out. And it's not even saying like, hey, this is a no phone party. This is a whatever.
It just doesn't happen.
It just
doesn't
not a problem
happen because people are engaged. Because people are engaged in conversation.
Yeah, and
it's so much better.
But it wasn't like that a few years ago.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think people had to like make these rules. Whoever pulls out their phone first has to buy everybody dessert. Or I remember seeing stuff like that.
I think it's great.
Yeah,
I think we have, as a society, at least from what I can observe, and I don't know how it is with younger generations, and I don't know how it is in other parts of the country right now, but like from what I have been able to observe, people are really getting better about trying to be present. That said, back to the original question, I don't know if hospitality in and of itself is dying or dead or having a resurgence or a revival. However, it's not like it used to be. I mean, it's certainly not like it used to be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, now when families visit families, I think a lot of people just stay in a hotel, right? When they're visiting.
I mean, it all depends on the space you have and if you want to sleep on the floor or not. Do you have a family that's going to put you at the top of the household or the bottom? I mean,
I remember your grandmother telling me whenever she got married, instead of a honeymoon, I mean, they went on a honeymoon, but for their honeymoon, they went and stayed with relatives.
That sounds awful.
Sounds really awkward. How was it?
Yeah, making coffee with your father-in-law the next morning, or
no, they went to their uncle's house or something.
Oh, that's much better.
Yeah,
the awkward
you're
uncle.
Not real close.
So you're on your honeymoon, huh? We stayed with Aunt Janine on ours.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it used to be more common for people to stay with family. And I think even now, people don't necessarily want to spend their vacation going to visit family.
Yeah.
So people are probably seeing their families less hosting going on there because they'd rather spend their time going on a trip, doing something they'd rather do, which I can't blame them. I mean, to live far away from your family and that's all you get to do for your vacation, that would be rough.
I think social media has probably played a part in that as well, that you can keep up with your family a lot easier on social media, so it's easier to not then take your whole vacation to go visit family. I'm not saying that's better. It does give you a little more liberty to actually go to the beach or wherever you want to go. So, yeah, I mean, it's so back to the original thing, though. Do you think people are getting better at hospitality, or are they getting worse as a society? Or can you? Is it unable? Are you unable to tell?
I think it totally depends on your friend group. Yeah. I can say it feels like people aren't as friendly as they used to be because they're just in their own little world. Like, you're not just randomly striking up conversations because when you're waiting in line somewhere or doing something, you're scrolling on your phone. A lot of people. So it's harder to make connections, then therefore harder to break into a social circle, then harder to get invited to parties, you know? Like, even when you do have conversations with people and, like, you have to have an in. You have to somehow get into the groups that do have hospitality, good hospitality. Yeah. And it's so hard, especially when you've moved so much or you're new to an area. I really need to be better about that. A lot of people in my Forest Friends group are transplants here, and I need to invite them over, Jason.
Yeah.
We need to have them over.
Here's one issue that I have, and it's kind of selfish for the most part. I am happy to have people over. I'm excited to have people over. I like people. You get this impression of me that I just don't like being around people, and it's actually not that. It's actually not that. You know what I don't like? I don't like preparing for people to come.
Okay, that's probably my fault because I'm sure by this point, and maybe everyone else is like this. I don't know how everyone else is. There's the frenzy before the guests arrive. There's this YouTube video that's like 12 years old or something. This guy's like freaking out, saying,
is he like acting like the mom or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah. He's going around like, mop the ceiling.
Yeah.
And what are you doing? Why are you drinking out of that glass? Like, just everything is so dramatic and so crazy. And I am exactly that person. I am crazy because I want it all to be perfect. And everything has to be so much better than it actually is in real life. So it's probably my fault because I do make everyone's life miserable before guests come.
I mean, I feel like that's a pretty common thing. I don't know. I have no idea. Nobody talks about it.
But part of it also is like, well, yeah, I'm cooking the food. I'm cleaning the house. I'm
helping.
You're not helping cook. You're not like thinking of all the details that need to be done, how everything needs to be in the right pan at the right time. And did we infuse water with basil and blueberries and like all the little touches? I want it to be fancy and nice. And do we have enough cloth napkins washed that will match?
So do you enjoy hospitality or do you enjoy the end result?
I enjoy the end result. I enjoy when it's all set and like they're there and everything's happening, I really enjoy that. And then I enjoy like that, especially when they like recognize all the little details and all the little things that I did to make it extra special. And then like the post-host glow. There's like an after, like, wow, that was such a success. Wow, that chocolate cake was delicious. And everyone smiled and laughed at that joke you said. And, you know, like, I enjoy that part, but no, I don't enjoy the getting ready for it, really. I do enjoy planning out details, like what am I going to serve and things like that. Which, speaking of, I think a lot of people make it more difficult, including myself, than it has to be. Like when we had this girl from Germany, her name's Lydia, when she came and stayed, I probably could have outsourced some things. Like I did have my friend make cinnamon rolls. She's really good at making cinnamon rolls. She's like, they're so delicious. They're sourdough, and the frosting on top is so cinnamony and just so good. So I asked her to do that. But I mean, I could have outsourced other things. You can. Well,
this goes in line with the next question is like, how can you simplify? What are some ways to simplify?
Probably hanging a curtain over my laundry room would be one. No. You can host people outside. You can just be like, hey, do you want to come over for dinner on the deck? And instead of having to worry about your entire house being clean.
They're like, can I go to the bathroom?
Yeah, can I go to the bathroom?
No! There's a tree over there. We have a bucket. Just toss it in the woods when you're done. Number 2, we've got some toilet paper. It's
hanging on that branch.
Hanging on the branch.
No, but
we have an outdoor bidet.
Or maybe just make friends with people who don't care. Like people who will love you regardless.
It's probably most people.
I know. Just be unapologetically yourself. This is a good podcast.
That might not be the best advice for some people. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it has to be like a crazy huge meal. Like a charcuterie board. Everybody loves a charcuterie board. You could just have that. Some lemonade, freshly squeezed right there on the spot.
Have people over for a service project at your home. We're going to fold laundry together.
So that's actually a thing that people get together and take turns, which I think is kind of cool. You can have people over at your house and you all do a project, whatever you're working on, whether it's like raking the yard or building something, and you provide lunch. And then the next week you go to their house and do that. And like it's a whole group of families, kind of like a collective. I think that was kind of cool idea to do that. But are people going to show like,
I'll show up for mine.
Yeah, I'm in that group. Oh, sorry guys.
I'm out this week, yeah, and the next 3.
We're traveling.
When is it my turn? Do you think it's important to teach our kids hospitality?
Definitely.
It's a softball question.
That's really a weird question, but I think the only way kids learn is through example. Like you said, your family dynamic was kind of weird. It's not really in your disposition to be very hospitable. My family,
but it doesn't bother me. I do want to say it's not like I'm not put out by having people.
No, you want to. The only thing you don't like is small talk. You hate small talk, and
I do like getting into deeper conversations.
Yeah, if it's people you don't know, obviously
it's harder for me.
Yeah, it's gonna be mostly small talk.
Yeah.
Until you can get into something. That's why playing a game is good.
You're right. Yeah. But I fully understand that small talk is a necessary part of communication. I get that. It is feeling the other person out. It is, I can trust you. You can trust me. We're testing each other and how our conversation goes. The problem is small talk's fine until it gets stuck there. And then it's like it never advances. I'm good with small talk for about 2 to 5 minutes. And then if it doesn't get into something better than that, it's going to be a rough night. Well, there's this personality type that at everything there's always one of the person who's just going to throw it all out there. That's the one thing about you. Just be yourself unapologetically. Nah, restrain yourself some. Because sometimes you're just like overbearing. Whether it's like some people are dead set on telling everybody what they think, what they believe, what their deepest secrets are. We've known a couple that, man, love them to death. They're great. They're wonderful people.
You're worried they're going to know that.
I don't care. They're wonderful people. I'm not going to name them. I think about them often. Haven't seen them in a while. Great people.
I don't think you should do this, Jay.
But every time we would see them, and we didn't know them for very long, it was like we were in a therapy session for them, a marriage therapy session, which we hadn't been married that long.
They were working through some stuff.
Mm-hmm. And
laying it all out
just
there.
Just giving us all the details on the first, hangout. Just us and them, just laying it all out.
We kept getting together with them.
We did. And to this day, I still talk to them occasionally. And it's great. But so I guess it worked out.
Yeah.
But that's the other end of the spectrum. It's that's definitely not small talk.
See,
that's all talk.
But I like someone who talks a lot. I love being around someone who carries the conversation.
Depends on what they're talking about.
No, I really can ride along with anybody. If you're doing all the talking, it's easy for me to ask questions, probe more, listen. I just want to listen, and
see, I don't have
to do anything.
I'm a back and forth. I want to probe somebody's mind. I want to get deeper into a conversation, not to debate or anything, but to actually discuss things. I'm kind of this... I don't know.
You love debate. I mean, we used to fight all the time. And we would call it debating, but we would debate all the time.
We got it out of our system.
I think my mom was shocked when she used to hang out with us in our early days, like when I brought you home to meet my family, and then we would be, quote unquote, debating about everything.
Do you have an example? I don't remember.
No, we just didn't agree basically on anything, and we were very open about it. And my mom was like, that's so healthy of you guys just to tell your feelings all the time. I wish I was more like that. And I'm like, I don't know.
I mean, probably worked for us. I would not recommend it for everyone. Just hold some stuff in, okay? Yeah, you really pulled me away from that, because really we found out that you are a much better debater than I am. And so we don't really debate that much anymore. Well, somehow I think you're just smarter than me. No. Really, that's what it comes down to. You're just really good at like counterpoint, like getting in there, and I don't know what to say next, and so my brain just starts clouding up.
You've gotten better, though. I've noticed it in your style of debate. I'm like, wait a second, he learned my tricks.
Well, either way, you wore me down. Now I'm just like, yes, dear.
Whatever. If anyone has an opinion on anything ever, it's you. I'm the one saying, yes, dear. You will be like, I don't think you should wear those shoes because you have so many opinions.
I am not like that at all.
Not because you don't like the look of them. You'll be like, I don't think you should wear those shoes because they're not very comfortable.
No, here's what I'll say. I don't think you should wear those shoes because I know, because it's happened before, in 20 minutes, you're going to be complaining that it's giving you blisters. That's what I'm saying. That's the only time I've ever had an opinion about anything.
We're not even really talking about shoes. I'm just like, you just have an opinion on everything.
Because I can foresee the future of other people's discomfort and complaints.
So you should be really good at hospitality. You can see the future.
I'm comfortable where I am. I don't want anybody over to my house. Darn it.
You can see what will make someone comfortable.
Get off my lawn.
I think that's part of it. That's all part of it. I just want everything to be too perfect, and that's my problem.
I just want you to be happy. That's all I want.
Thanks. people should be more willing to be hospitable. We need to practice it. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You can keep it simple. You can meet somebody at the park. I mean, saying to someone, hey, you want to meet me at the park? Pack a picnic and our families can picnic together and let the kids play. That's being hospitable, and it's not that hard. You don't even have to provide food for anybody else. Just having somebody over for coffee or tea. Yeah. Like, it's not a big deal. We don't have to make it bigger than it is. And the intent should be true, deeper connection.
Let's put out a challenge for the listeners, okay?
Okay.
In some way or another, find someone or think of someone in your life that you're not extremely close to. It doesn't count if it's like a best friend or like a family member that you talk to all the time. Try to find somebody that's not in your top texting bracket and invite them over or invite them to do something where you can be hospitable, whether, like you said, whether it's outdoors or coffee or whatever, once a month. For the rest of the year, and let's do that challenge.
I like that. And here's some ideas. Like, one time I invited a girl to a coffee shop, and the coffee shop didn't serve food, so I felt okay about doing this. I packed a whole picnic with like china. This was before I gave up my china because I learned about the heavy metals and the like gilding and stuff. But I used to have the prettiest china, and I packed like a placemat and cloth napkin and nice silverware, and I pulled it out and I set up the whole table. It was so cute. It was so sweet. Made this whole little meal, and we got our tea from the coffee shop.
You can't do that here.
We sell sandwiches, ma'am. No, they didn't have any food. So, but it was so nice, and that was so easy.
Yeah.
I think I served like sweet potato. I don't remember. Maybe served more than sweet potato.
Yeah.
But it was so good and so sweet. And I remember her like pulling out her phone to take a picture because she was so impressed with the whole spread and thinking it was so cute. So it doesn't have to be hard.
So the challenge being provide a hospitable experience for someone that you're not that close to. And whatever the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, do it good.
Do it good.
Think about their needs.
Yeah.
You know, think about their wants.
Have them in mind as you prepare for them.
And I think that's where some people fall short in hospitality is they are open to having people over, but they don't necessarily have people in mind when they're hosting them.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good challenge.
Are we doing it?
Yeah, we're going to do it.
I'm good.
No, we're doing it. I'm excited. Our laundry is pretty much
slipping.
It's slipping. It is really slipping.
I'm going to go downstairs and do some right now.
Wait, we didn't do comments of the week.
Let's hear it.
Do comments of the week. I'm going to do
comments
of the week.
You've got one, right?
I know. Yeah. Well, I have two actually.
Okay.
So
what videos
are from? The first video is we released a little clip of last week's podcast about when the guy was grabbing your arms and stuff.
Yeah.
Lebernick on Instagram said, "We had a lady at our church who would always kiss your cheeks and the back of your hand after she shook it. My grandmother would leave church during the last song by loudly whispering, 'I'm gonna leave now so she won't lick me.'
That's so weird.
My dad, on the other hand, decided the best way to deal with her was face to face. Right before she went to shake his hand, he very obviously licked the back of his hand and rubbed it on his cheeks. He never had to worry about her again."
That is
in that regard.
The weirdest situation I have ever heard of.
Kissing the hand and then the cheeks. I don't know. I wonder if she was from a different country. But that sounds like something you would do. Lick your hand and then rub it on your cheeks like as she's walking up.
I mean, I hope that it's a cultural thing because if she's just a regular American, I think she's just being obnoxious.
But if she's old... Are old people obnoxious, or are they just...
Have you ever had an old person kiss your hand in both cheeks?
I've had an old person kiss me on the face.
That's a little different.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of uncomfortable, but...
Is it like the little side kiss where... You know, that's okay. It's more so making a sound than full-on, like, wet lips on your cheek. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Here's the next comment.
Okay.
It's on the firework video, and it's in reference to where Oaks says, I want to watch fireworks without a gas mask when I grow up. Well, Rackmac said, or Rockmac, sorry, it's hard to know people's usernames. Yeah. My son said, when I grow up, I'm going to eat a whole grape. Dream big, little buddies.
Dream big.
So what I think is so funny about this comment is then in the thread, someone said, you're a low-carb family? Because she meant because she cuts the grapes.
Because it's a round, it's like a ball.
Yeah, it's like a serious choking hazard. Yeah. And then people are like,
you're a low-carb
family? It's because you're supposed to cut the grapes for little kids. And they're like, oh, yeah, I know that. My first thought was that they're a low-carb diet because grapes are sugar bombs. That cracked me up.
That's funny.
So funny. Computer-mediated communication is...
it's whatever you interpret it to be. You can never guess somebody's tone unless it is explicitly laid out for you. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Really Very Crunchy podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure you leave a review and check out the show notes to see what's coming from Jason and me.
Little Helper, Big Imagination came out yesterday. It's available now everywhere. Just search it by Emily Morrow. We're really excited about it.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.